and welcome to the Healthy Half Hour podcast. We are your hosts, Richard and Karen Inslee.
The Healthy Half Hour podcast is your resource for all things healthy, and we will be discussing how to make nutrition, fitness and lifestyle choices work for you.
We will be sharing our own personal insights along with research gathered from working in the health and fitness industry for the past 10 years.
Our show is brought to you by the 7 Day Shred, which can be found at 7dayshred.com, and please feel free to visit our podcast website, which can be found at healthyhalfhourpodcast.com.
And now on to today's show.
Hi everybody, hi to our millions of listeners around the world.
Wow. Still not over that, eh?
No, still like hoping for that one.
Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. So what have we been doing since last week? We did do a podcast last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. How the difference between...
We've had 31 degrees on the deck last night. Yeah. That was nice.
Last podcast was health and fitness.
Oh, that was it.
What was the difference between? Kind of we're carrying on a little bit with that today, but yes, summer came and the other day.
Hopefully it stays.
A little bit windy today. I don't know whether you can hear mowers going in the background because we live on acreage, so everybody's got ride on lawn tractors. So first cut of the year and everybody's running up and down trying to get it all sorted out while it's dry. It's supposed to rain later in the week, so... But everything turned green within a couple of days, and we been planting vegetables.
Yeah, got some veggies, and I did some romaine lettuce and spinach today. Got my herbs planted, so
checked the bees today, and they're all happy bunnies. So lots of pollen, and
they were getting a little bit antsy at one point. So
they're just tired. I'm turning the house upside down, having a look inside. So they'll be fine. Nobody got hurt. We're all good.
There was much excitement in the camp because obviously there was loads of bees with all the back legs loaded up with pollen, and there's yellow little panniers on a motorbike.
Some were being born as well, coming out, working their way out of the comb, and
neither of us had our phone with us to video it either.
Seen it before, and we'll see it again. But it's always neat to watch them being born as they just enter into the world after living in the comb for the last couple of weeks, growing from a grub and a little egg. So just those good things. So again, like I say, today we're going to kind of carry on a little bit on the theme of last time's podcast. But this podcast really is kind of the whole thing under the umbrella of the Big Why. And when you see the title of the podcast, The Big Why, and you're wondering what that means, is, well, why? Because, we keep banging on about health and fitness and going for walks and eating whole foods and all the rest of it. And kind of there always is, some people's buy-in's different to other people. And again, people look at it and say, well, why do you bother kind of deal? And it's a multi-layered kind of thing, and people have their own whys, and sometimes it's good just to, again, especially if you're sometimes not floundering's the wrong word, but kind of running off course a little bit, and you got to kind of think of your why, and the why can sometimes bring you back.
And sometimes when we sit down, whether it's one-on-one with clients or in a group setting in the corporate field, I say you just try to open up that conversation, because a lot of the times people, they don't really know what their why is, or the reason, even when you do find, your why, do you understand it enough? And you just said, when you do understand that big why, you do get that buy-in.
And for us, I think it's, again, multi-layered. Yes, it's probably, statistically, if you eat whole foods and exercise, you live around an extra 3 years. That's an actual chronological thing, so you actually live those years. But do you actually live those kind of last 10 years, or do you kind of grind along in those last 10 years, exist in those last 10 years if you've not looked after yourself over that time? And again, we've seen people, friends, relatives and things, and they, could have took better care of themselves, and the last few years have been a grind for them because, again, stuff just slowly falls apart. And there's no guarantees with life, but sometimes, again, you're just giving yourself a little bit of an extra leg up that maybe if you are going to pass away at 81, 83, whatever, 85, late 70s, that up until that point you're active, you can go walking, you can do things, you can spend time with loved ones, and you just enjoy yourself right up to the last, rather than kind of dragging an oxygen machine around with you, or being bedridden, or needing a walker or something like that, because again, you didn't probably put that extra little effort in 20 years prior and maybe look after yourself that way. Another way you can look at this too is, we grow our own garden. My vehicle is as fuel efficient as I can get it. So a lot of the things, again, we try to make our footprint as small as we can. We compost a lot of the kitchen scraps. The garbage that the two of us actually make is as minimal as possible. We recycle everything we can. Our house is on geothermal heat, so our electricity bill is as small as it could be. So again, we do a lot of little different things to try and again reduce our carbon footprint. Look out, and again, just for the health of the planet, let alone just the health of us. So like I say, there's a lot of different things, and mental health too is something we're going to touch on today. And that can play a huge part, because again, if you're doing these things and you kind of feel better about yourself, and from a mental point of view, exercise and eating well can pay dividends along the road.
And right now with the COVID-19 issue, fortunately here in Manitoba, we are actually seeing some pretty good, statistics, the cases, I think we've had one in the last week, whereas new cases were kind of every other day, weren't they? Mm-hmm. And so all these terms that they keep using, flattening the curve and everything else. And again, going back to how to beat, address COVID-19 is obviously getting that immune system healthy. But people don't realize when it comes to the immune system just how beneficial it is, not just from fighting off viruses and bugs, but poor gut health, poor immune system health can develop into chronic systemic inflammation. And when you've got inflammation in the body, then a lot of that can develop into depressive episodes because your immune system's not healthy. And one of the things Wednesday this week, I'll put the link in the show notes, and like you just said, we're going to touch on mental health right now.
Is that the 20th?
The 20th.
Okay, 20th. Of May. So
20th of May 2020. So
you're listening to this in August, crap that.
Or in 2013 you're listening to it, you go oh crap, I missed it.
Remember that COVID thing?
Yeah. And I've been asked, I was actually approached via my LinkedIn page by a guy that said he was looking for a mental health expert and then couldn't find one, so he come to me.
But
he wanted somebody, because one of my main projects programs is brain health, not mental health, and it's and it is that big why when it comes to getting the body mentally healthy. And I always say that we should be looking at brain health, not mental health, because a lot of the times mental health, that actual phrase can be negatively interpreted.
Comes with a little bit of a stigma sometimes.
It does, yeah, and it can make people feel bad. And a lot of the things that I actually see is people actually don't admit to having a mental health disease or concerns or problems, because like you said, it does have a little bit of stigma or negativity attached to it. And so getting the brain healthy is key to longevity and overall health. And like you just said a few minutes ago, that you don't want to be living or existing the last 10 to 20 years of your life if you're not mentally healthy.
No, and that's again what's important to you, like I say, now, what's important to you in 5 years time, what's important to you in 10, 20 years time. And sometimes again the seeds that you sow now can have an effect. And talking about kind of that timeline is again, like the American health system, especially with the more and more people getting obese and more people ended up having type 2 diabetes, their healthcare system is basically being under more and more pressure as time goes on. And what's happened again with the COVID is these people that do have this metabolic issues, the COVID's done is actually accelerated that. So what they would have maybe ended up with in 10 or 20 years time due to increased inflammation, the COVID has actually increased that inflammation literally within a few days. And that's why people, again, who are overweight, who have got metabolic issues, are passing away from it. Because, again, it's just accelerated the process. So what would have taken maybe 10 or 20 years is now taking, let's say, 2 or 3 days. And when you say like 20 years time, it's tough for the human brain to kind of figure out if you're doing something now that in long term, it's like saving money. It's, you kind of, you need to save for another 25 years, but, and you don't get it a lot of the time. And health is exactly the same. And you're looking at that long-term goal, which is why we just keep saying, just keep chipping away and just keep doing little bits here and little bits there. And again, as we've said before on previous podcasts, people that kind of jump in and do the 30-day reset and all the rest of it don't get anywhere because they're not chipping away. They're trying to do it all in one lump. And it's like saving one month's worth of pay and thinking that's going to be good for your retirement when really it isn't.
You sure?
Depends if you die the month after. Then it was the best plan ever.
And then right now, with us being classed as non-essential like professionals, then I guess like saving an income of zero is it's not going to get us to retirement. But yeah, you saying about people being obese and having metabolic issues, and there's like 6 components to like my brain health, not mental health program, and one of them does touch on how important it is to have a healthy body composition, because body fat is actually the biggest producer of inflammation, and body fat stores toxins and develops into those inflammatory cytokines, and that leads to depression. And right now people's mental health and emotional wellness is in such a state because there's so much uncertainty out there. People don't know what's going to happen. And there's a lot of negative talk on I call it anti-social media and anti-social distancing. And there's so much negativity that's out there. And again, it just develops into depressive situations.
And again, a lot of the keyboard warriors bullying other people into things and just making people feel bad just because their opinion is different to the other person's opinion. And again, people love to brandish out Twitter's one of the worst, but people calling each other names and idiots, and just because, your view might not be the same as somebody else's view, but apparently you're not allowed to have different views, and blah, blah, blah. We won't get into that rabbit hole.
But that's the thing. You'll see on social media, which obviously is not very social, and common sense isn't very common anymore. But I'm glad that you said about bullying. Because,
you're welcome.
Because a lot of the comments on there do equate to bullying and just downright mean. And what your opinions are might differ to what our opinions are, and we kind of like to be a little bit like Switzerland and pretty neutral, and we'll share our thoughts and comments maybe with other like-minded friends. But if somebody, it's like when you support a political party. We've got friends who are very vocal with who their preferred political party is. Does it mean we dislike them anymore? Do we like them less? No. Do we actually call them out on any of their comments? No. We know that you support this particular political preference. And so when it comes to the COVID-19, it's and there's lots of memes and be kind to people, appreciate their thoughts. But again, the people who are saying this is okay, but please be respectful of other people's opinions. You might not agree with it, might not fall in line with you. And one of the things in my presentation, the webinar that I'm doing on Wednesday, is that the impact of disrespectful behavior on people's health and wellness, and how disrespectful behavior is leading to so many other metabolic issues. I mean, disrespectful behavior raises your cortisol levels for up to 4 hours post a mean or nasty comment. And as you just said, those keyboard warriors typing up these nasty, they might not think it's nasty in their head, but it's how you actually interpret the written word as opposed to the spoken word.
To put it in capital letters, the shout.
Yeah, or underline it. Yeah, because it's like shouting, and that written word, I mean, it's like when you send a text to somebody, and it's how your mindset is at that particular time and how you interpret it. So if you're quite vulnerable and you're feeling scared right now, and so your anxiety levels might be really, really high, so you're scared, you're worried, and then somebody will say, they'll post a meme saying if you don't stay home, people are going to die because of it. And that written word can be taken literally, it can be taken out of context, and it can be negatively interpreted because of your current mindset being in an anxious and vulnerable state.
Well, that's always the thing with putting things down in print or writing, is you don't get the inflections. And I mean, that's the art of a good novel writer. They can actually put that feeling into words, but the average Joe can't write something and then actually kind of convey how they feel or kind of convey the mood. And I mean, the professional writers, that's why they get paid big bucks to write novels and things like that, so they can actually do it. But again, if you text in, and again, at least they double the number of letters you're allowed in Twitter now. But again,
because I don't use Twitter much.
Well, a couple of years ago. But I mean, to do that, it used to be, it's 256 characters now. But again, you can't put inflections into things, and you can read things in multiple different ways. And I've read podcasts on people, especially people who suffer with Asperger's, and they don't get that, the kind of the nuances of people's talking and what they mean. They don't pick up on the inflection, so it's almost as like talking to someone in a monotone. There's and they do that.
She kisses my boo-boo, she braids my hair.
Oh, yeah, I knew.
We love you, mothers everywhere. It's Agnes.
Yeah, I know. It's sorry about the Despicable Me.
I haven't referenced it in ages.
I know. We thought you were over it. But yeah, just that monotone. Again, people can just get lost on it in words. But I mean, like you say, you're talking to someone and you throw an inflection on at the end of the sentence, and I mean that normally means a question. So I mean, that's just, but a lot of the times we don't pick up on it consciously, but unconsciously you kind of know how people talk. I'm just talking about the English language now, not other languages, because I mean, at least other languages are sometimes kind because they put little graves and accents and cedillas and other things on top of the letters to actually give you an idea of what's actually being said. But in English, it's just kind of expected that you'll know that.
And like you say, my webinar that I've been asked to be on Wednesday, one of the things that we're addressing, because it's aimed towards medical professionals, but it's not just patients and staff. One of the things that they want me to address when it comes to the brain health angle is, rebuilding relationships with your staff and your patients in your clinic. And the importance of brain health and how it's actually affecting your emotional wellness, how that can actually develop into physical pain as well. So right now, I'd say everybody feels like they're on tenterhooks, they're all anxious, they're worried, they just don't know what to do. So the brain health is just so key and so important. And you were just saying, we're both covering how written word and how it's interpreted. And so because people have been locked up, kind of, everybody's been in quarantine, so the only interaction people have been having recently is not that in-person contact. So people are not having conversations. People don't even seem to want to pick up the phone and have a conversation. So all they're doing
I've had more phone conversations in the last kind of 8 weeks than I've had in a long time.
With your mum, yeah.
No, not my mum, just everybody, clients and other people, friends and stuff.
But we like talking to people.
We don't talk to each other.
We do. Oh. Yeah, we do occasionally.
Oh yeah. What's for supper?
Yeah, but I say, so a lot of people have been just relying on a lot of that, like, written words. And so I was actually listening to somebody earlier on a video, and she was like comparing like how the written word and the oral word is like interpreted different. And she apparently used to be a teacher for like 20 or 30 years. And she couldn't meet up with one of her parents, like, on this occasion. So she sent a letter home with one of the kids, and she underlined something that she really wanted to bring to the parents' attention. I don't know what it was, but she said she underlined it because, like, she had a lot of things to cover, but she really wanted to bring this one actual item to the parents' attention in particular, because they hadn't been able to have a conversation on the phone. They hadn't been able to meet. And so the parent actually, when after she got the letter, I don't know whether she made a phone call or whether she actually went to see the teacher, and she was having a real go at this teacher, saying like, how dare you shout at me in this letter, and what you did was really rude. And the teacher was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you underlined this like little word and like this particular topic. And the teacher was like taken aback by it, because she was like, well, no, because like this is the one area that I really wanted to bring to your attention, because we hadn't been able to meet. And so again, going back to that, why the teacher did that, and it was for a specific reason, because she couldn't actually have that conversation.
And like you say, people interpret different things in different mental states. So I mean, she might have just had a bad day at work, came home, saw this thing was underlined, and then just lost it on that. And as always, again, with like our podcast, we always kind of give you all of those, why. But again, a lot of the times people don't tell you how to start or what to do. Like I say, with the 30-day resets are great. And sometimes, again, if you've got a lot of weight to lose, like we've said, the protein sparing modified fast or something like that can give you a kickstart. But it's after that where you've got to kind of keep it going. So really, kind of what's your buy-in? And ultimately, I mean, before you start any kind of, say, going to the gym, or which you can't at the minute, or going for walks, or starting to ride your bike, or eating a little cleaner, or maybe recycling a little more, or basically, it's what are you prepared to do? Because if you choose something, I'm going to go when things are open again, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week. I'm going to prep meals every Sunday, and I'm going to do all this. And after about 3 weeks, I'm not prepared to do that. That's just way too much work.
Effort,
too much work, too much out of the normal. And again, like you say, 70% of the stuff you do in the day, you don't want to think about. The 30% you are thinking about wears you out. So if you're adding exercising and making food and stuff like that into the things you're thinking about, and again, you just add into your workload. So it's start doing things that don't really add up to a lot. They add up a little bits into your health, but don't add up to kind of your commitment level in the day. So just a little bit here. I mean, I've had clients before and they drink a ton of soda. Slow down on the soda. I mean, the actual buy-in and commitment from doing that is you haven't got to buy it anymore. So, I mean, that's good. The mental aspect of it, yes, okay, it's going to play on you a little bit because, again, like smoking, alcohol, anything like that, it's you're doing it for a reason. And sometimes the reason, again, it can be boredom, can be like the sugar fix, it can be a lot of different things. But finding out, again, what your why is, and then just kind of find out what you're prepared to do. And then once you start doing those things, then pick on something else after a little while and just keep building on what you're doing.
And like you said, I mean, your comment just if people are drinking excessive amounts of soda, like cut down on it. You've not turned around and said, okay, just like get rid of it completely. So you're, looking at what their buy-in is. Some clients might be able to just go cold turkey and say like, okay, I can do that. And they understand the why of like the reasons for doing it, and their buy-in might be good, but you might find that you get a better buy-in from somebody being consistent long-term by approaching it from that, let's cut down as opposed to let's give it up, and then it gets less and less and less.
But again, we're going back to the kind of the mindset of this, because some people can just give up things and they don't really care. And it's like you say to people, oh, okay, you can have some snacks, but have kind of 1 or 2 a week and put them in the fridge. And then you see them the week after. Well, how did that go for you? Oh, I ate them all on the first night. Because some people know they're in the fridge and they've got to eat it all. I mean, Karen and I, we've had chocolate bars and stuff sitting in the fridge, in the freezer. We've had people have bought us things, again, treats and stuff. They've been sitting in the cupboard for months, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. We'll eat them, but that doesn't bother us. We don't care. And so for us, that buy-in of cut something out and don't do it doesn't really affect us. But for other people, again, it does. So pick on something again that you're prepared to do that's easy. I mean, go easy. And again, once you start to do a few things and a few small things, they all become easy, because again, you're not choosing a large chunk of things to give up and putting yourself into the position of you're going to fail in about a month's time.
Yeah, and going back to the webinar with regard to the why.
You're plugging the hell out of that, girl.
But we said like, and obviously I want hopefully people who listen and like say we'll share the link in the show notes, because you can actually submit questions before.
Oh, I might put some awkward ones in.
Before the webinar. I'll just tell Alex to take yours out. You can submit questions beforehand.
How does this tie into quantum physics?
Yeah, like explain like the theory of relativity and like, why did the apple fall down from the tree and not up? but anyway, we digress. But like I'm hoping to get across in the webinar the why.
Do bananas hang up or hang down?
Hang down, I think.
But they're hanging up. Carry on.
Yeah. I was like lost my thread now.
Sorry.
Just like go back to Agnes in Despicable Me.
Something shiny.
Because of that. Yeah, something shiny.
Sorry, webinar.
Yeah, the webinar. So I'm hoping to provide people with an understanding of the why to the brain health. So covering like things like cortisol, sleep deprivation, behaviors, stress, body fat, inflammation, and helping people to understand the importance of how they contribute to mental health and brain health and overall wellness. But it will hopefully give you guys the why as the importance, and help you to improve your buy-in when it comes to improving your brain health and overall emotional wellness.
So hopefully we've given you a little bit of food for thought with your why, and again, what you're prepared to do and what your buy-in is, and maybe put down on a piece of paper or something, just sit down and make a few notes and make a few things that you could possibly change, and pick something off the list and go with it and see how it goes for you. If you kind of, I've got to say fail, but if you can't sustain that, then pick something else off the list and give that one a go. And at some point, you will get down the list, and you can live as sad as us.
We don't live a sad life.
Anyway, hopefully there's been some use to your half an hour. We'll talk to you next time. See you then.
That's all we have time for right now, but we do hope that you join us for our next show. And if you want to contribute to an upcoming show by suggesting a topic that you would like us to discuss in more detail, then hop over to our website, healthyhalfhourpodcast.com, subscribe to our podcast and submit your suggestions. The Healthy Half Hour Podcast was brought to you by the 7 Day Shred, and don't forget to share our details with your friends and review our show. Until next time, thanks for listening.